Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sisters of the Strange. I'm Shae.
And I'm Landrey.
Do you have anything?
Mm-mm.
Not anything to say out loud?
Mm-mm.
Okay, we won't talk about it.
We can. We just wasted 3 hours because I just really tried to record an episode and it didn't work. And I feel like I'm going to crash out. So we're just going to change directions.
Everybody be very gentle with
my
Landry right now. Well, we can switch gears and we can talk about something really cool that happened to me.
Yes, please.
Yes,
Give me joy.
I was recognized in the wild by a listener. Isn't that crazy? A random stranger that I've never seen before at the local grocery store. Yeah. And it was a little rough. It was on Thursday morning and I had just worked overnight for my 3 days in a row and I looked like a hot mess. I had slept 2 hours because we had to get up early to do something. So I had my hair in it was just like pulled back with a scrunchie. It wasn't even tight. It wasn't nothing. And I don't even remember what I was wearing, but I know it was atrocious. We had to go to the grocery store. So we check out. It's the lady who's checking us out. We're putting our groceries away. And she's like, can I ask you a really weird question? Like as we're turning around to leave and we like make eye contact and I'm like, yeah, like what's up? She's like, do you have a podcast? And I like looked at my husband and I was like, yeah, I do actually have a podcast, like I didn't know what to say. I was very taken aback. I said, yeah, I do. And she goes, is it Sisters of the Strange? And I was like, yeah, that's me. Oh my God. And she was like, I love your podcast. I listen to it every week. It's so good. You guys are so funny. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much for listening. And then I didn't know what to do. So I put my hand out to introduce myself and shake this woman's hand. And she introduced herself to me. And I'm pretty sure her name was Stephanie. It's been a couple of days now, but I'm pretty sure it was Stephanie. So Stephanie, if that was you, shout out to you, girl, because I was very awkward and I'm very sorry. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to act.
First famous encounter.
Yeah. My husband was like, we were walking out and he was like, oh my God, you're famous. And I was like, relax.
Chill, bro.
Relax. It was one person, but I literally didn't know what to do. I was so oh my God.
Oh my God.
It was crazy, but I loved it.
Yeah.
It was super cool.
Yeah. No, I don't know what I'll do beyond that. I've had one and it was just my CPS worker. She was like, my husband sent me this TikTok and it was this local podcast. And I was like, dang, that girl looks familiar. And it was you. And I was like, yeah. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. I didn't know what to say. And I've said CPS multiple times. And I just want to let people know that it's not me that has my children taken away from me. I have not had children yet. Which to each their own. Everyone goes through their own hardships. And sometimes you just need help. And that's pretty much where we are. We are a helping hand. My husband and I took in his nephew. And I know y'all have heard me mention Landon. Mm-hmm. And I've said he's in 9th grade, and that probably doesn't make much sense because I don't look like I have a 9th grader.
No.
Hopefully.
No.
And my husband's only 5 years older than me. And we have one of his nephews, and we raise him. And he is most likely he has chosen to stay with us, so we are most likely going to adopt him. We just haven't gotten to that point in things yet. He has told the CPS worker he wants to stay with us, which he does still see his mom. He still sees his family. And she's doing everything she can, and she's doing great too. He just has chosen to stay with us, but he still gets to see his mom weekly. I don't want to. I don't want her to listen and be like, "That's my child." No, it's definitely still her child, and they get their time together.
Everything's great.
Yeah, but I just didn't want people to be like, "This girl has her child taken from her."
Yeah, I wonder why she's always talking about CBS.
Yeah, so I've never really described that. So that is what that case is for me.
What is he doing down there? Oh my God.
Punching the punching bag.
Damien just almost pulled the house down. Jeez.
It's the punching bag down there.
Well, he did punch my 27 balloons. He punched the 7 yesterday, really hard, and I broke it off the string, and it is all the way up in my very tall ceiling. And I said, great, now that's going to be there forever.
Forever.
And then he proceeded to punch the 2
into the same thing?
Into the ceiling. So now there's a 27 balloon that will just be there for the rest of forever until the helium wears out.
That's what you get for punching him stabbing with the toothpick when you're stabbing the other balloons.
I guess. That's crazy. I was like, dude, now those are just going to be stuck up there. I'm like, well, that'll give you something to do, I guess, while I'm gone.
Yeah.
Next week. Just don't hurt yourself, please.
So I said, what are you going to do when he's gone? And when we're gone? And he said, order strippers. I was like, okay.
Okay.
He's the most not.
You have fun with that.
He will sit here with the dogs and Elvis.
Yeah.
We're like encouraging him. We're like, yeah, have friends. Do something.
But But yeah, it's gonna be fun next week. I'm excited. But that's really all I had this week was to talk about that because I was really excited about it.
I know it has made me more aware of. I'm like, oh my God, what if people do see me? It's made me more aware of what I need to look like in public, or the odds of like things that I say. I'm like, ooh, maybe I should kind of actually pay attention to what I'm saying right now.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people I didn't like realize listened, I guess. And we've had people from high school sharing our stuff and sending us messages. And I'm like, oh, people actually do pay. Like people actually are listening. Yeah. I need to ship shape.
This isn't just for us. This isn't just for funsies.
Well, that's what at first I was like, no one's going to especially no one from Weatherford's going to listen to us. And now I think
it's very local.
So I feel like crashing out, guys. Today is...
It's going to be fine.
It started out as my day and has progressively gotten not my day. Yep. Just like that. Don't know.
It's going to be fine. We're going to roll the theme song.
We're going to roll the clip.
And we're going to come back.
Okay, hello,
we're back. And we're in a better mood, aren't we?
I'm in a way better mood.
Great. That was a good 3-second break.
Literally. I don't even know if that was long enough for the transition between... So I have to like actually transition the audio into the theme song. Like there was one point where you do something, you like did this in one of the, like our other episodes, but then you start talking and I had to like really modify it. It works. I figured it out. But I was like, what is going on? I was like, you're going to hear Shae go, and then it's going to go over. But I was able to figure it out.
It'll be fine.
It took me a minute though. I'm like technologically inclined and then I get irritated with it and I'm like, I don't know what to do. And then I get mad and then
we crash out.
I crash out. Reasonably so.
Yeah.
Often.
I would too.
Very often.
It's going to be fine.
So today's episode is actually not normal. I was going to do a murder. And I lined it out and then I told it and then I got confused about where I was and nothing was making sense anymore and I got really mad. And so I'm doing a different story.
It was a whole thing.
It was. Yeah. Shae was like, you're doing fine. Just keep going. And I tried and I wanted to jump out the window. So I decided that instead we're going to do an encounters type episode because I was planning on doing this anyways. I was going to do both episodes today and now Shae's having to pick up her slack.
Yeah.
Pick up, not her slack.
No, it was my slack because I didn't have anything prepared for today because I'm the worst.
No. Well, the thing is I prepared the murder story and I have been working on it for 2 weeks and I had written it fully out. And I was like, okay, but this doesn't make sense because it's already a story that doesn't make sense. So I wrote another episode of it, lining it out better to help it make more sense. But I missed putting certain pieces of information where it needed to go to where it wasn't making sense still. And I had read it at home like the other day and was like, okay, it's good. I don't need to edit it any further. And then as I was going through it just now, I was like, like, I know that, like, I know how the murders happened. So I'm like, I know that I need to have this here, but I wanted to make sure it's coming from the right person and no.
We'll come back to it. We'll circle back to it at some point.
Maybe.
It's a good one.
I will.
I liked it. I was ready to hear the rest of it.
It had to do with Halloween, Wicca, Easter, and a very, very, very small West Texas town. Like it was like perfect.
Yeah, I was.
But I'm not perfect. So.
Nobody's perfect. It's fine. It's fine. So we're just going to do something a little bit different.
Yeah. So I'm doing an encounters episode because I was throwing around ideas. I was like, Shae, we could do this. And she was like, no, I can find this instead. Because I've seen where people use like ChatGPT and they say, ChatGPT, tell me a murder story. And then they'll use that as like the premise and they like laugh about how bad Chat wrote a story or how good Chat wrote a story or whatever. And then I was like, we'll just do like an encounters. I've found a bunch of books to read out of and things that I wanted to compile for different ways. Because a lot of people like listening to like episodes where other podcasters just share listener stories and things like that. We don't have enough yet.
Yeah.
We have actually been getting more. Did you see that? We had someone write in about a Bloody Mary experience that their neighbor had, which we will get to one day.
Yay.
I bookmarked it. It's there. We had another one that I've not read all the way through because I started reading and then I was meeting with CPS and they walked in whenever I was in the middle of it. So I bookmarked it as unread, haven't gone back to it. And then another one that we got in the very beginning that we haven't shared yet either.
Yeah.
But we don't have enough yet to like make it a full thing. So I've kind of just been pushing.
We're just pushing them over to the side until we have more.
Yes. So if this isn't your kind of episode, I'm sorry.
See you next week. It'll be fine.
Yeah. I'm like,
Just stick it out. Don't be fake.
this is the kind of episode my mom doesn't like because I'm going to be reading and my mom hates listening to me read. So peace out, Jeannie.
This is your cue.
Goodbye. Here we go. I feel like crashing out still, honestly.
I need you to take a deep breath. I just nose dove into my microphone.
What?
What?
No, the water.
Oh, from SpongeBob?
Water.
Yeah, that's not it.
Water. I was trying and failing miserably.
Oh, God.
Anyways, I don't feel like I'm like in my right mind right now. I feel like
That's
I'm like
okay.
out of my body.
Everything's fine.
Here we go, guys.
Everything's going to be perfect.
Report number 1. So, since the day I was born, the city has been all I have ever known. The constant noise, bright lights, and strangers in passing were my usual, and I never strayed far from my metropolitan area until I was 30. Miami, to be exact, was my home. How do you not leave your home for 30 years?
That's me.
Town? You travel?
Oh, well, yeah, I guess that's true. I thought they meant like just staying there forever, like living there forever.
I will never leave. Actually, yeah, that's fair. Okay. It was my friend's 25th birthday when the encounter took place. She decided to hit a local club with a group of girlfriends, and though my head was pounding and drinking was far from desirable to me at the time, I tagged along. The drinks weren't doing the job either. Have you ever experienced a time when no amount of alcohol could get you drunk? It was one of those nights. Some say the cause of random heavyweight experiences stems from a sober mindset.
Heavyweight, not lightweight. Like not being able to drink a lot, not getting drunk would be a heavyweight.
That is not registering in my brain. I'm still looking at the sentence like, what the hell are you trying to say right now? So anyway, the drinks weren't hitting, and around midnight, my head started to throb worse than before. Because of all of this, I decided to leave early. Luckily, my apartment was only 3 blocks away from the club. People crowded the entire first block of my journey home. More bodies flooded the sidewalks than I'd ever seen, making me wonder if there was an event or a holiday that I was unaware of. By the time I reached the second block, nobody was around. The area I lived in was never that silent. Strangers were constantly pacing around, cars were always on the road, and loud music echoed from nearby clubs on any given night. The silence made me nervous. If anything were to happen to me, there'd be no witnesses, and that thought was starting to pick at me. Before reaching the third block, I stopped under a streetlight and lit a cigarette. As I did this, the light above me started to flicker. I ignored it and continued to smoke my cigarette where I stood. Why are you gonna stand still if you're scared? You're running. You're running.
You're a freezer.
Yeah, but if I'm that nervous, I'm out of there. A dark road alone at night.
With a flickering street light.
Track star. She's a runner. She's a track star. I am going home.
Ow.
All you see is dust. I'm not there. And like the cigarette's still hanging in the air. Like stuck.
Like a cartoon.
Yes. So I ignored it and continued to smoke my cigarette where I stood. Then there was a loud popping noise followed by instant darkness. The bulb had blown. Thinking nothing of it, I continued to walk home. Not even a minute passed before I heard another popping sound behind me. Another streetlight went out.
I don't like that.
Weirded out, but not necessarily scared, I picked up my pace. The faster I walked, the quicker the lights went out. One by one, every spotlight I'd walked into called for yet another blown light bulb. It was like I had powers that allowed me to absorb every ray of light in my path, leaving nothing but darkness. After 5 consecutive streetlights went out as I passed them, fear struck me like lightning. I started to sprint as fast as possible, repeatedly running towards the light just for it to go away. When I opened the stairway door to my apartment and took my first steps inside, I thought I'd be safe from whatever was happening outside, but I was wrong. Soon, as I reached the second story of my building, exactly halfway to my unit, every light in the stairway started to strobe before sharply turning off. I was submerged in complete darkness, unable to see the stairs before me. Despite being visionless, I ran up the stairs, leaping over the steps frantically until I reached my door. There weren't any sounds or sightings to insinuate somebody followed me. It was a matter of every light I passed abruptly turning off. Everything went back to normal once I was locked inside my apartment. All the lights functioned normally, not flickering or turning off by themselves. I did burn sage regularly in my home, not for spiritual purposes, but for the scent. Perhaps the constant burning of sage created a shield that blocked unwanted energy from coming into my home. I have never experienced anything like this, but it does make me wonder, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
And why was it happening to me?
That's all I want to know.
Boy,
What was that?
What? Absolutely not.
That's terrifying.
First red flag was just stopping under the light to light a cigarette. That was the first red flag. Like,
that's so weird. I've literally never heard anything like that.
No, but a streetlight flickering is absolutely terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
And then 5 of them
Yeah.
and your stairwells.
Mm-mm.
You best be calling a priest.
Mm-hmm.
Because ain't
Something
no
was
damn
following
way.
you, girl.
Yeah.
Woo!
Heck no.
That's wild.
So
Not a fan.
No, not eating. No. But I also am not going to walk down the street alone at night.
Also true.
Yeah. Especially in a city.
No.
No.
It's a no for me.
Yeah. So report number 2. By the way, guys, I've never read any of these. So my fear is your fear.
We're all just as excited as you are.
Our fears are together. So for women, the fear of walking alone at night is universal.
Ah!
Here we go. Here we go. The list of potentially dreadful outcomes is never ending. That's why many of us carry pepper spray, a knife, or adopt a dog for protection. I bought an emotional support dog for my peace of mind as a woman who walks home from work every night. I've never faced danger while trekking alone, but I'm humble enough to acknowledge that I can be vulnerable. I work the late shift and close the office at night, so like every other night, I locked up and started heading home with my dog Jax by my side. The walk home takes longer with him since it's his last opportunity to go potty before bed. Our route ventures through downtown's main street, then down a well-lit alley for an additional mile to get to my apartment.
Yeah.
An alley, even well-lit?
Ooh.
You brave.
Mm-hmm.
You very, very brave. While walking down the familiar alleyway, the marking point that home is near, Jack started aggressively barking in the direction we were heading. We came to a halt as I tried to see what he was warning me about, but I didn't see anyone or anything. It was only us. I ensured Jax everything was all right and commanded him to stop barking. A brief moment passed before Jack started barking again, only he pointed his body behind us as if someone were following us.
Nope.
I observed our surroundings very closely, wondering if there was something I wasn't picking up on. Jax was very well trained. He wouldn't bark if there wasn't a good reason to. After anxiously noting our surroundings from all angles, I again concluded that there was no danger and ordered Jax to be quiet. Less than 1 minute later, he started barking behind us again, struggling to turn us around and face whatever followed. This time, I ignored him and tugged on his leash to keep him moving forward with me, not bothering to look back. That's what I regret, not looking back. I pulled and tugged until eventually Jax let out a very loud and painful yelp. I instantly stopped and turned my attention toward Jax, panicking at the thought that I had hurt him, but it wasn't me. A gruesome cut ran down the right side of his torso, his flesh exposed and blood spilling onto the pavement. I ripped off my shirt without forethought, tied it tightly around his ribcage to slow the blood spill, then threw him over my shoulder and ran to my car. We were fortunate to be about a quarter mile from home and to have my car keys on me because time was not on our side. The vet told us that we would have lost Jax if we'd made it to the hospital 5 minutes later than we did. It was a miracle that he survived. They also said it was impossible to know what had cut him. There wasn't any bacteria in his wound, metal or glass shards, nothing. They asked jokingly, was he cut by the air? It sure seems like it, I replied. In all seriousness, the incident with Jax felt like a scene from the Paranormal Activity movies. His wound made it evident that danger was near all along. I just couldn't see it. Since then, I've only driven to work and back, not willing to risk my fur baby or myself getting hurt again.
Yeah, amen, girl.
Why weren't you driving from the beginning?
With. Oh my God.
Or riding a bike?
Literally anything else. But also, what the fuck?
Scratched your dog.
Scratched your dog.
Yeah.
And why was he so scared?
Yeah.
There was something there.
Dogs have that sixth sense.
Yes, they do.
Sixth.
Sixth sense. Sixth sense.
I'm going to crash out. I'm going to crash out.
Don't. Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
I don't think anyone on this podcast has seen me be so uncomposed, and today is the day. Today is the day.
This is what I feel like every day.
This is not ever how I feel. And today Goodbye.
Goodbye.
It's
okay. We're doing great. Everything's perfect. Sunshine and rainbows.
perfect.
Perfect.
Okay.
Continue.
On to the next. My name is David.
Hi, David. No,
David. If y'all did not read the No David books as children, you are wrong.
You were missing out.
And you should probably go read them. Because that is going to be a staple in my children's life.
Do you remember that time whenever we were at a literal restaurant in public and we had a mental breakdown over that?
Nothing new.
Somebody said it. I don't remember if it was you, if it was me, if it was Honey. I don't know who did it, but we were in public.
I almost feel like someone said it not in reference to the book. Did they say it in reference to the book?
I don't remember, but somebody said, "No, David." And we just looked at each other and just lost it. We laughed for, I don't even think we ate.
Probably not.
Oh, that was so funny.
Oh, we did a lot of really ridiculous stuff. I remember there was one time at a restaurant and I had the menu and I was like, "What are you going to eat?" And you were like, "Chicken tenders." Like you just said it out loud. I was whispering "What are you going to do?" And you're like, "Chicken tenders, dude." And I was like, "Whoa, I was trying to be stealthy." I didn't want people to know that I didn't know what I wanted. I needed someone to be anxious and nervous with me. And you were just like, "Chicken tenders, dude." I was like, "Oh."
You were going to order anything else.
Chicken tenders, sweet and sour sauce, lettuce on the side.
Lettuce on the side.
With a Sprite.
Yep. Period.
And then at some point, you went from Dr. Pepper to Sprite, and I went to Dr. Pepper, and then we've rotated back to where I'm a Sprite person and you're Dr. I have a Sprite, you have a Dr. Pepper right now. But that was the lettuce on the side. That was
a
La
weird
Playa
thing.
Maya.
Yeah.
It was a Mexican food restaurant. Oh, I'd give anything to go back to eat their chicken. It was flat chicken. It was good.
The best.
And
I would dip the chicken in the ketchup and then dip the ketchup dipped chicken in the lettuce.
I did sweet and sour.
And then eat it.
So good.
So weird.
So fetch. So fetch.
Anywho.
Sorry, guys. You're just getting childhood trauma in this episode.
Period.
But it's not trauma. That's not a repressed memory. I actually have that memory. I repressed a lot. Not that.
Not that.
Not that.
Those are important memories.
Yeah. I didn't even have that bad of a childhood. And I'm I think
I just have a bad memory, to be honest.
I think I had such bad anxiety. I think I was constantly in fight or flight that I blacked out a lot of stuff because I was constantly
up here.
Yes. About everything for no reason.
Yeah.
No reason. I just panicked all the time.
It's okay.
I still do it. Not as bad. I have controlled anxiety now. I'll get on YouTube and watch breathing lessons.
I'm proud of you. That's great.
I'm just I don't care.
It's fine.
I just don't care about anything ever.
Everything's fine. Yeah.
Actually, I over care to where I'm I need to just not care. So then I just don't care. I hope that makes sense. Trauma lessons from Landrey. Follow me for more. Okay. So my name is David.
Hi, David.
Hello. I feel like I'm in an AA meeting. Hi.
Hi, David.
And I'm a senior park ranger.
This is the guy. He's got the stories.
Yeah, park rangers, terrifying. And I'm a senior park ranger who recently retired after dedicating 20 years of service to one of the most beautiful pieces of land. It was the perfect job for me, hence why I stayed so long, and most days on the clock felt like a walk in the park, no pun intended.
Good one.
David, you silly guy.
You sly dog.
However, during my second to last year working at the park, I experienced what I believe was a ghost leading me to his body. I was driving around on a work ATV as dusk was approaching, ensuring tourists and hikers knew that the park was closing soon and informing any campers that it was time to return to their designated campsite. While doing this, I noticed some belongings left behind in the forest off trail. I drove the ATV into the woods, following the discarded items tossed like litter and collecting them. I picked up a sleeping bag, a wool hat, a book, and stuff of that sort, all of which were molded and seemingly left behind years ago. I thought it was strange no one had come and collected these trashed items sooner, then remembered how vast the park was. It would be easy to miss something like this. Once I managed the mess and was ready to return to the trail, the ATV wouldn't start. It had died entirely, which surprised me since it was less than a year old. I called for someone to pick me up, and my colleague said it would be an hour until they could reach me since I was so far away from the main cabin. Yeah.
Could you imagine?
During dusk in the woods. I decided to make myself comfortable and leaned against a nearby oak. That's when I heard the voices shouting in the distance. It sounded like two men arguing, except one was extremely angry while the other communicated timidly. Amid the muffled sounds, a few things said came across clear as day. It wasn't yours to take, and fuck you, it was mine.
Oh!
Indicated that the argument had reached a boiling point between the two. I called out and asked if they were all right, but I didn't get a response. That one voice kept yelling at the other with increasing anger. Though I didn't think it was feasible, the yelling grew louder and more intense than before. I started to walk in their direction to try and ease the tension for safety and courtesy purposes. But as I took my first few steps, a gunshot fired. Then everything went silent. I immediately returned to the ATV and hid behind it, calling my colleagues and informing them about the potential danger. The other rangers didn't arrive until dark, and though we tried searching for the two men, we were out of luck. I returned to that area the next day to speculate in the sunlight, and that's when I found the body. I scanned what I assumed was the place they were arguing at, the rocky terrain corner of the forest. Nobody usually wanders in this area, for it's not that easy to walk on, and there aren't any long-distance views like there are in the rest of the park. But I was confident that the area is where the voices had traveled from. As I was starting to feel unlucky with my search, I stumbled across a bullet shell. It was too old to have been from what I had heard the previous day. However, hunting is prohibited at the park, so there shouldn't have been a bullet shell on the property anyways. It encouraged me to search more extensively. About 20 feet from the bullet was a white object revealing itself from a crevice between the rocks. It was thin, lanky, and sharp-looking. Having never seen anything like that before, I approached it. The closer I got, the more I realized the park... What?
It was a bone.
Ooh. Yeah.
I was just illustrating.
You are the bone. The closer I got, the more I realized the park I've been patrolling for so long isn't exactly what I thought it to be. It holds dark secrets. The white object was a skeletal foot. Ding, ding, ding.
I was close. It was a phalange.
You weird bitch.
Not
a phalange.
Joey, it's a phalange.
Not a metatarsal? Is that your hand?
Yes.
Ah, maybe I know skeletal.
Metacarpal is your hand. Metatarsal is your foot. So you were right.
I was still there. Don't know why I know that. Couldn't tell you.
Proud of you.
I didn't take any anatomy classes. Maybe I learned it from the Hannah Montana song. Did they talk about that?
I think so.
Maybe. I don't know. The only anatomy I know is chickens. And they definitely don't have... They have paws.
Tarsals,
they have paws.
Paws.
They have paws. Their feet are paws.
Freaking talons, bro.
They have paws.
Ew.
And then talons are on their paws.
Okay. Chicken feet.
Chicken feet. You see one of them chicken foot?
You see one of them damn chicken foots over down at the market?
Ew, people eat those.
Let me give you some of them
deep
chicken
fried.
feet. I know. No. Absolutely not.
So, they found a foot. I shined a light into the dark crevice and found the rest of the body. The skeleton was wrapped in old, moldy, matted men's clothing. But that one foot that caught my attention was missing a boot. That's what I was trying to say. There we go.
What?
That foot was missing a boot. Clearly.
You
see
if you missed that.
Crosley.
Thanks, David.
You're astute. The autopsy reports declared that this man died from a gunshot wound to the skull. They estimated his date of death to be 40 years before I found the remains.
Oh my God, this is so cool.
The park was then closed to the public for a widespread investigation around the land. We didn't find any additional human remains or evidence of other deaths, which led me to believe the skeleton I saw belonged to one of the men I heard arguing. It's the only explanation I can think of.
That's crazy.
Also,
that's a cool freaking story.
Whenever you are in a state park at dusk and it's starting to get dark, either climb said tree and sit at a higher elevation, or me would be hiding under the ATV. Like
under it.
Underneath. I am not sitting in the open.
There's a reason why they make you scurry back to your campsite when it gets dark.
I'm scared of the dark like that.
I want to know what park that was.
Yeah, I know. It's got to be somewhere that has a rocky terrain and I don't know, it says vast views when you were in other parts of the park. So there had to have been really pretty places to stand and look out.
I love that story. That's dope.
I mean, I'm not trying to find a foot, but I really do enjoy. I go to Mineral Wells State Park all the time and I really enjoy their trails and hiking. The only thing that's terrifying is they've got just snakes out the absolute wazang do. Like, I don't even know what I was trying to say there, but they got them everywhere.
There's snakes everywhere out there.
Yeah. And I remember as a child, there was one time I stayed at Mineral State Park and they have a prison not far. And I remember sleeping in my tent and like hearing commotion. And then I like the next day there'd been like a prison break or something crazy. And I was like, oh my God. They walked by my tent. And it was probably just like an animal.
Probably, which is also terrifying.
Yeah.
We stayed out there one time and we rented one of those like little cabin things that like doesn't have anything in it. It's just like a cabin where you can like put your sleeping bags and whatever. For my birthday one time. And we proceeded to sleep in vehicles because it was infested with spiders. Yeah. So we slept in our cars and then it stormed and it hailed and it rained and it thundered and it was terrifying. It was horrifying. We just stayed there in the cars.
I've never been in their cabins ever.
Well, they're infested with spiders.
We always take like, because my mom is one of 7. So literally like every kid has a camper and my grandmother has a camper. And so we end up taking multiple spots up. And I normally would stay like in my brother and sister and mom would go home and I would stay with like my aunt in her tent. Or one year my mom did stay. That was fun.
I went with you one time.
Yeah, for the most part, I stayed in Patty's tents. Like I would always stay with Patty. You know, I've never thought about my family listening to this. My mom's side of the family does not cuss. I am so sorry if y'all actually, I doubt y'all listen, but if you do.
LOL.
This is actually all Shae talking and not Landry
it's just me.
At all. But
you blame it all on me. It's fine.
Yeah, there was another time we were staying at Mineral State Park and it was me, Foley, and Doug Googe. And it was Foley's birthday and we were staying with her mom and Gee Gummy. And I think they were the girl all and like I think even Doug's mom because Camilla and Felicia were friends, but they were staying in the camper. Me, Doug, and Foley were staying in a tent. And we heard stuff outside of the tent and we were all like, ah, like we gotta look outside. And we looked outside and there was like raccoons and they were like messing with the food and stuff that had been left on the tables. And Doug, me and Foley were like, we were like kids, you know, so we were jacking around and we were like, like hiding under the blankets. And I remember Doug being like, if y'all don't let me under the blankets right now, I'm free. Like he was freaking out. And that's exactly how Doug talks. And he was losing his mind. And that was your foot. I was like, don't do that.
Sorry.
But he was losing his mind and he's got like 12 cell phones because he was a little rich boy. And he's like trying to call them and there's no phone service out there. But he was losing. He's like, let me under the blanket with y'all right now. He's freaking out. We were like not letting him under with us.
Oh, that is so funny. I can just imagine how that played out.
Oh, it was great. It was so good. But yeah, the raccoons they'll
ravage.
Yeah, my family went out there one time for not my family, but like my family, but not me and like my not immediate, I guess, my grandmother and my aunts and stuff. And they were out there at Halloween and because they'll do trick or treating around the state park. And they had left some of the candy out and the raccoons just obliterated all the candy.
I bet they did.
Yeah.
They loved that shit.
It's like over the hedge. They were like, this is where we need to be.
I like the cookie.
Yeah. That was such a good little movie.
Oh, that's the best movie.
All right.
Anywho,
to the next one. When I was in high school, my group of friends and I were the classic misfits. Shitty home lives, constantly skipping school, and always on a new adventure pursuing new highs.
Oh my God. Okay.
Damn.
Chill.
Hell yeah. Sneaking out at night was frequent. Most nights, each other was all we had.
Oh.
Okay, well, now I'm sad.
Now
I'm sad. We'd climb up the abandoned local search tower with a case of beers, go to the ski resort during its after hours and sled, or drive around to be anywhere but home. One random weekday, our friend Camille asked us during lunch if we'd ever been to the abandoned fairground a couple of towns over. After saying we hadn't, she told us she would take us later that night. Ecstatic, we all planned to be outside of our homes and ready for her to pick us up all around midnight. 12:15, I saw Camille's headlights pull up to the end of my driveway. I climbed onto the roof outside of my bedroom window, threw a thick comforter down on the grass, and jumped onto it. My most common exit plan.
Then what do you do with the comforter?
Leave it there, I guess.
I don't know, man. I wasn't a sneaker outer. I wasn't good at that.
I just walked out the front door.
Yeah, so did I. I did one time sneak out and I literally walked out the front door.
I just, bye, Mom. This is where I'll be. Jeannie just knew.
But I didn't do that till after the dreaded grounding for 3 months that I got that she didn't.
Again, different parenting styles. You were an only child, essentially. Well, now Bo was there at this point in time, but I was the youngest, and my mom was like, it is easier to let Landry do whatever she wants
than to
fight her. Because I was an asshole. But I was a decent kid when I went and did stuff. Like, I am the only one who ever got in trouble out of my siblings for whatever reason. But like, I'd go to parties and not drink. I'd just go be there.
Yeah, we just go hang out.
And then I'd go home.
Yeah.
We were drinking that night.
Yes, we were.
Both of our older brothers came. So we shouldn't have really gotten in that much trouble. They should have gotten in trouble, even though it was our fault at our house.
I mean, it was a whole orchestrated plan. Yeah.
But now I know. Now, like, I'm going out of town and mom is going to stay with Landon, but there's certain times she's like, I'm going to go be with Donnie instead. And, but now I know, like, I'll check Landon's windows because he doesn't have a key to the house. So, like, there was one time I was like, I kind of think he's going to try and have people over, but he doesn't have a key to the house, so he can't get in. And I'm like, oh, but I checked his window to make sure that it wasn't open so he couldn't sneak back in through his window because we done did that.
We sure did.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I know y'all are all on the edge of your seats. So our dad was going out of town and Shae and I shared a room and we left our window cracked so that we could break into the house to have a party when he was not home. But we didn't think about, we should have opened it further and we never would have gotten caught.
Yeah.
All we had to do was open it further. There was an alarm system on our windows, on our doors, on everything, and we had it cracked to where it triggered.
No, that's not what triggered it. What triggered it was us going in and out of the garage door. And
I thought what triggered it is
it.
we had to unlock it when we still set off the alarm and we didn't realize it would set it off because we only cracked it this much. If we had opened it further all the way in the beginning, it wouldn't have set the sensor off at all.
At all. Yeah. We didn't think about that.
No,
we had to turn the alarm off.
Yeah, we had to turn the alarm off and we're like, no big deal. And our dad didn't mess with us that night. It was like a week later.
It went on for like a week.
And then he was like, so y'all want to say, no, we didn't do anything.
I was like, oh my God, what do we do? Landry was like, I'll handle it. And then I got in trouble.
I don't even know what I said. I was like, yeah, we did. Well, I think Caleb ratted us out, actually. I think we were getting away with it.
We thought we were getting away with it.
I don't know. I didn't get in trouble.
I got in trouble because I lied. I didn't get in trouble. We didn't get in trouble because we threw a party. I got in trouble because I lied about throwing said party.
Nope.
Yeah. Crazy. Anyway.
I don't think I lied,
because she already knew. She was like, I already know that you did it. So stop lying. And I was like, I didn't.
I don't even think I lied to Honey. I think I was just like, yeah. And I didn't lie to my mom either. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I think I lied, and that's why I got in trouble. I mean, I know I lied. That's why I got in trouble.
Did you lie to your mom or to Honey?
Yeah, I lied to my mom.
Oh.
I don't think I said anything to Honey. You were like, I'll handle Honey. I was like, okay, bet.
Yeah. That's why she didn't get her driver's license either.
Yeah, I was in big trouble.
Anyways, we didn't sneak out and jump on comforters.
No.
So, there's that.
What a detour.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. This episode is just whatever it wants to be. I'm going off intuition, baby. Mm-hmm. I'm running with it.
We're just running with it.
So that's their common exit plan. I then picked up the blanket and put it in the trunk of Camille's car. There you go. That's where it goes.
That's what I wanted to know.
We used it for sitting later, or in case we wanted to use it for sitting later. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's what they're using it for. Mm-hmm. Everyone else was already in her vehicle, so I had to sit atop my friend Tony's lap for the car ride. Everyone was instantly hyped for the night's journey when we pulled into the fairground parking lot. Weeds have grown tall between every flaw in the pavement, and in the distance we could see a Ferris wheel with ivy covering nearly every inch of its structure. We hopped out, a few of us holding flashlights, and happily walked into the fairgrounds. We first encountered a game stand where you shoot at the wooden ducks and potentially win a stuffed animal. Everything was still intact except for the thick layer of dust coating it. Two friends jumped behind the counter and grabbed large stuffed animals, laughing about how incredible this experience was. After that, we slowly split off and ventured independently, finding fascination in different things. Tony and I went to the Ferris wheel and sat on one of the bottom seats. Do you think it'll break with us on it? He asked. No, this is thick metal. It won't break. Yeah, but look how old it is. Did Camille ever mention when this place shut down? It had to have been 50 years ago. It's so sad looking. It does look like we're in an apocalypse movie. There's something beautiful about it, though. It's like time traveling. The whole place is frozen in time. As I finished my sentence, the unexplainable happened. Every light on the Ferris wheel lit up beneath the ivy, and a loud buzzing sound came from out of it. Our seat started to shake as if it were glitching. It tried to spin, but the densely layered vines kept it from rotating. Tony and I jumped off of it and stared at the ride in astonishment. Holy shit, he yelled. There's no way that just turned on. We stared at it with our jaws dropped to the floor. How could that be possible? We shouted for our friends to come over and observe, but no one was around to watch the magic happen. So we ran to where we last saw the others. On our way back to the starting point, Tony and I passed our friend Marcus. He was sitting on one of the game booth chairs, talking to himself. We stopped to listen. Marcus was seemingly conversing with someone, but nobody else was nearby. He was talking to thin air as if somebody had sat beside him. Don't worry, you're not stuck here. Get a ride home with my friends and me. I know they won't mind, he said, facing the chair beside him. Chills ran down my spine as soon as I heard him say, don't worry, you're not stuck here. He was interacting with someone we couldn't see or hear. Marcus? I asked, frightened. Oh, hey guys, this is Mary Ann, he said, happily gesturing his hand beside him. She got stuck here somehow and needs a ride home tonight. Marcus, nobody is there, Tony said defensively. What are you talking about? He laughed, then turned his head back towards Mary Ann, only to no longer see her. Wait, where'd she go? He asked, looking at us in shock. We didn't respond, yet the look on our faces must have said it all. She was never there? He quivered. No, she wasn't, and we should probably leave, I said. Wait, we have to show him the Ferris wheel. Tony turned to Marcus. Dude, the Ferris wheel just turned on by itself while we were sitting on it, Tony said in excitement, apparently unbothered by everything going on around us. What the f? Marcus whispered. Where's everyone else? No idea. We were just looking for you guys, I told him. You know what? I think I might need to put this episode as explicit. No idea. We were just looking for you guys, I told him. Marcus rose to his feet and started to walk away. Well, let's find them right now. We walked around the grounds, calling for everyone's name, but nobody answered. After 30 minutes of searching the entire fair, we concluded they were gone. We jogged back to the parking lot to see if they'd left us as a prank, knowing they would never leave us maliciously, but Camille's car was still parked where we had left it. That's when we all started to argue. Tony said we should stay until that we find them. Marcus said no way, we had to leave. On the other hand, I proposed we find something to ride on and leave a note on our windshield stating, hey, we're leaving. Home is 2 fucking towns over, Tony yelled at me. We're not walking that far. We won't make it back until tomorrow morning.
Oh, shit.
And what about our friends? What if they're hurt? He asked me. That was my initial thought too. What if they're hurt? I decided to look around for them one final time, but Marcus was too scared to go back. I'll wait by the car, he whimpered. So Tony and I left him in the parking lot. I do not leave me alone in a parking lot. I will be walking with the other two people.
Yeah.
We covered every inch of the fairground for a second time and still had no luck finding our friends. We called their names, went inside abandoned buildings, and even searched inside booths for them. No luck. Tony and I reached a point where we had to start reasoning. They weren't there, and Camille had the car keys. Our only option was to walk home. We could have called the police, but we didn't want to get any of us in trouble for trespassing, so we bit the bullet and hit the road on foot. We eventually split ways once we returned to our town, individually heading to our own homes. Luckily, I made it back just before my parents awoke. I tried to call Camille the following afternoon, but she didn't answer. I also tried calling 2 friends who disappeared that night, but they didn't answer either. Only Tony and Marcus showed up to school the following day, and we had to brainstorm our next move. The possibility of them getting injured, kidnapped, or God forbid, dying was very likely to us, and we were panicking to the point of feeling sick to our stomachs. Scared to death over our missing friends and the potential consequences, we decided to wait just one more day before notifying the police. Luckily, the following day, Camille and our other 2 friends showed up to school, and by the time lunch rolled around, we had an abundance of questions to ask. What the hell, you guys? Marcus yelled at them. We were worried you got hurt, or worse, died. Excuse me? You're the ones who left us without saying anything. Who does that? And you didn't even bother answering our phone calls this morning, Camille raged. What are you talking about? We spent hours searching the entire fairgrounds for you 3, and you weren't there. Because of you, we had to walk all the way home, and none of you answered our phone calls, not the other way around, Tony shouted back. Yeah, we were worried something terrible happened. You guys just vanished. Where'd you go? I asked them. They exchanged glances of confusion before answering me. Camille and the 2 boys claimed to have been there the entire time and that we 3 were the ones that went missing. I then asked why they didn't come to school yesterday, and Camille's response was perhaps the most disturbing part of all. What are you talking about? Yesterday is when we made the fairground plans. We were all here. No, I responded. That was 2 days ago, Camille. She laughed at us and asked if we were on drugs, stating it was Thursday. It's Friday, Marcus spoke lightly, hesitantly opening his school schedule to show her. See, They announced we'd have a school assembly this afternoon, and it's on the weekly schedule right here, written on Friday. The three of them froze up as if they'd seen a ghost, refusing to accept that they had missed an entire day's worth of time. According to them, they were having a great time until realizing they hadn't seen Marcus, Tony, or me in a while. Then they walked all over the fairgrounds in search of us until morning. Once the sun started to rise, they agreed to go home and get ready for school, and that if we didn't get in touch with them by that night, they'd call the police. Similar to the plan we had, however, they thought the following morning was actually 2 days later. That means Camille and the boys spent 2 nights at the fairgrounds. How to begin explaining that, I'm unsure.
What the hell?
This story has never left our circle until now. We felt nobody would ever believe us, and it was best to keep the entire incident a secret. We have no idea what happened that night or how it could be possible. We collectively tried researching the fair's history, when and why it was abandoned, but we couldn't find any answers. Its history, name, and existence, nothing about it is accessible or searchable. The deserted park still sits there today.
Well, what park is it?
I don't know, but it very much reminds me of a book I've read before, for one, because they go and adventure in an abandoned park and the kid ends up like kind of living there for a time because his home life sucked. 2, my brain goes back to Marianne, who said she's stuck there.
Yeah.
Is it actually a spirit or clearly it's a spirit, but was it someone who had gotten stuck there like they did
before,
but never made it out?
Yeah.
Or is it someone who like died at the fair? But it kind of makes me think like it's someone who got stuck there like they did for that many days.
For a couple days. That's wild.
It's horrifying.
Yeah.
But I would love to go explore an abandoned fairground.
Oh yeah, no, me too. That sounded like so much fun.
Yeah.
Like one that was like left exactly how it was.
Yeah, not Six Flags, way too big.
Ew, no.
No, that's too big. I'm thinking more like a county fair that kind of just shut down and got kind of eaten by woods.
Yeah, everybody left.
Yeah. What number should I pick to read?
13.
I've already done 13. I did 13, 6, 1, and 2.
3.
Have I done 3? I don't know if I've done 3. We'll see real quick.
Nope. Let's go.
Okay. Greetings from Indiana. My name is Johnny. And
Hi, Johnny.
Hello, Johnny. And I'm a 5th generation farmer from Mansfield. My life is relatively...
Mansfield, Indiana? Is that a thing? Or Mansfield?
I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a Mansfield here too, Texas.
Yeah. The same thing. There's Portland, Oregon is also by there's a Salem over there that is like 30 minutes apart from each other. But then Salem, Mass, and there's a Portland there that are like 30 minutes from each other.
That's weird.
Literally on opposite sides of the country, but they're both within that proximity to one another.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Johnny. So Johnny says, my life is relatively simple, though a farmer's life has its challenges. I wake up before sunrise every day and perform hard labor until sundown, with the occasional help from my son. He recently turned 10 years old and is very involved in school and sports, so he only spends time with me on the farm on the weekends. One typical weekday evening, my son Junior had an away soccer game that his mother took him to while I stayed home and tended to our livelihood. Once completing the day's work, I decided to enjoy a couple of drinks in the barn before heading inside. I don't have a drinking problem, but I have a whiskey bar set up below my hayloft for when I feel like rewarding myself after a hard day's work. I love that he has to clarify. Yeah. I am not, which Mom laughed at the last episode. She said, I'm happy that you had to tell us that you're not a serial killer. Because I said, I'm not a serial killer, but I said, could have fooled ya.
Sometimes you gotta clarify.
I literally just, I texted her back and said, could have fooled ya.
Yeah. Amen.
So it was one of those days. The late August sun was beating on me like no tomorrow, and I was exhausted and sore once it set below the mountain. Okay. He's talking about the sun. I got confused. After finishing my first glass, I heard a child's giggle echo above me in the loft. It was so vivid that I walked across the barn to get a good look and see if my son was sneaking up on me. No one was up there, so I checked my watch and noted that they wouldn't be home for another hour. I must have been hearing things, I thought. I walked back to the whiskey bar, poured another drink, and heard it again. Only this time, it was undoubtedly my son's voice, and in between the laughter, he shouted, "Dad! You guys are home already?" I asked, walking up the staircase to the loft. He didn't respond, and once I got up there, my son was gone. "All right, Junior, I'm not in the mood to play hide and seek," I called out. Though I kept it casual, I was astounded by the possibility of him not being upstairs. The only way in and out of the loft is the stairway. He didn't go down them to leave, yet he wasn't in the loft where I had heard him. Starting to get a little spooked, I turned to walk back down the stairs, and that's when I saw my son run into the tool stall. "How'd you get down there?" I shouted, and his uncontrollable laughter echoed throughout the building. I rushed to the stall to ask him how he moved across the barn like that, but to my bewilderment, he wasn't there. "I'm done playing with you, Junior," I said, now irritated. "Stop running around the barn." "Honey?" My wife stood in the doorway, puzzling at me. "Who's running around the barn?" "Junior. He keeps running around and hiding, and he's not listening to me either." "No, Junior is inside waiting for us at the dinner table. I made lasagna before the game," she said hesitantly. "Johnny, are you okay?" she asked with sincere concern. She asked with sincere concern. My heart dropped to my stomach. There wasn't just a kid running around. It was our kid. I saw him with my own eyes, and it didn't make any sense. "So there's no chance in hell that Junior could have been here. Is that what you're telling me?" I asked. "We just got home. Are you sure you're okay?" "I'm fine," I grunted, not bothering to explain further. I looked around the barn before heading out with my wife. There was no sign of him anywhere. It was as if I was indeed losing my mind. When we got to the house, I saw Junior sitting at the dinner table where my wife said he was, waiting for us. I asked him if he was in the barn just now, and he said no. He'd been inside the house since getting home. So I let it go without any additional questions. But it still crosses my mind often. Why was I seeing my son if he wasn't there? And what was the cause of such a thing? The whole occurrence creeps me out. If I saw you like walking into here, and then I came in here and you weren't in here, I would never come in here again.
Correct.
We would be done.
Correct.
The podcast would be over.
It would be over. We are done skis.
Yeah. Or like, I've said this 1,000 times, taking your dogs outside to go pee at night and hearing your own voice talk back to you.
Yeah, no.
Being like, "Little dog, Biggie." And then hearing it said back to me. I would no longer have animals because they would also be outside.
Forever.
Locked.
Forever. Forever outside.
I'm just kidding. I would run and get my dogs and then lock the door. No dog left behind.
I don't know if I would.
And then little dog stands up on her back feet and starts talking to me.
No.
I posted a picture of little dog sitting like that the other day, like sitting,
perched,
begging me for food. And Danza responded back and said, "This is not a dog. Hope that helps." And I was like, "Oh, I actually just have done research on episodes where dogs are skinwalkers." And she was like, "I actually meant that she was like a prairie dog or something like that." And I don't remember what she said, but she was like, "Thank you for making it terrifying." And then she sent it to mine and our group text with Shae, and she was like, "Look at your friend. Well, look at what she just said."
This is what Landrey does.
And I was like, "Well, that's where my brain went."
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's what we do. We just like to freak people out.
Yeah. So
part of it.
I think that's the end of this episode because Shae needs to use the little girl's room.
Yeah.
And I am going to crash out. Not really. We're going to go pack. And if you liked this type of story, I will gladly do it again because it was easy to prepare. So you just let me know. If you hated it, I guess you can let me know that too, but please do it in a nice way.
Correct. Give me a better option.
I love constructive criticism, but be nice about it. Constructive criticism.
Be nice.
But if you have any stories that you'd like to share that we will turn into an episode like this eventually, then send it to sistersofthestrangepodcast@gmail.com. Feel free to like, follow, and subscribe on all of our platforms. They are all in the show notes of both YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music. And I think that is all. I will see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye.